Oh, well, that was weird. I don't know what happened there. Hey guys, welcome back to another stream. Thanks so much for joining us today. Can you hear? Is that me? Is that you, Dan? I don't know. It's like really.
I can hear you.
Ah. Can you guys hear that sound? I don't know what that is. Fuck, what is that? Okay, hello? Okay, are you getting like a weird echo? You're not. It's just me. I'm gonna try to. Okay. Sorry, guys. I think it's like really, yeah. That's Dan. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, this sound is good. I'm gonna leave it. Sorry, guys.
Just me and my own.
Hello. I don't know what.
Sounds fine to me. Is it an issue on my end?
People are saying, Dan, it's your mic. It sounds like when I'm talking, it's like terrible.
Hold on.
We weren't having this problem before we went live, guys.
Does it sound fine now?
Yeah. Hello? Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
it's fine now.
Better?
I was like, I'm just using my laptop. I don't know how to fix this. So it was still there when you left. It was just then. Okay, fine. It's better now. New technology problems. All right. I'm really terrible at anything techie, guys, so I could not have fixed that without you. But guys, thanks for tuning in. We have Dan McCarthy joining. He's one of my favorite guests to have on and just one of my favorite people on Chelsea Twitter. So Dan, thanks so much for taking the time to join.
Pleasure. Always a pleasure to come on here, Ellie. It's been a while. Let's get it. Let's do it.
I know it has been a while. I think the last time we talked was like at the beginning, or maybe the transfer window hadn't even started yet. So we were kind of like just talking about all of the potential transfers that Chelsea could make. Now we're just 2 days left of the transfer window. And I want to get into all of the transfer stuff. But first, I do want to ask you, about the game yesterday. You coach football. So like, I wanted to get your take on this. Do you think that it was a red card?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I actually saw somebody post, and I hadn't remembered this, that in the Champions League final that it actually happened like something very similar to Reece James, where the ball hit his thigh and then hit his arm, and the referee was like very clear, no, absolutely, like, since it bounced off of the thigh and then the arm, not a pen, not a red. And I could kind of understand the pen, but the red I thought was just absolutely ridiculous.
I think the difference is that I saw the same video with the Champions League. I think the difference is that's obviously on the goal line and the ball is spinning backwards in towards the goal. Like it was going in. So I do think it was a penalty, just for the pure fact that I thought of it immediately. Like, if that was the other way around, would I be fuming if that wasn't given? Yeah. I would be fuming. So I think it's a penalty, but red card is harsh. I've seen some people say the interpretation of the law says you have to give a red card for that, and I've seen some people say you haven't, and and you don't have to. The law doesn't say that, so that's the issue in itself. And no one actually knows the rule. The rule is not clear cut. The rule has not been explained very well. And that's the issue. So I think Anthony Taylor's probably, again, I'm not his biggest fan. I don't think many people are. I think he's just gone with what the rule says in his opinion, but it seems like it's his opinion rather than the standout rule, which is a problem. And I didn't sign the petition, but because I'm just not going to get involved in that. But I get it. Like it's strange. It's very strange with Anthony Taylor in Chelsea.
No, I mean, I was just so riled up, especially in my review video, because I was like, this is too many times that a decision goes against Chelsea with him refereeing. Like, it's getting to the point where it seems like it's not just a coincidence. It's not just one bad call. It's like a series of bad calls. And that's why I was upset, because I felt that the game was so even. It was so like end to end. And honestly, I felt like Chelsea were dominating and probably could have won that game. But at least like give the teams the chance to have an equal fight. But the second that you pull a red card out for something that is like not, you know, it's not a clear red, in my opinion, then you're completely changing the course of the game. And I thought that Chelsea, you know, I was worried going into that second half that we weren't going to be able to hold off the Liverpool attack. And I was like, this is just a straight win for them because we're playing with 10 men and they're just going to attack us. And the team did absolutely brilliant to defend against that. But I think in those situations, like, why change the course of the game so drastically?
Yeah, right. I mean, I think it was Zach Lowy that I retweeted that, you know, a lot of these referees have main character syndrome, and they really do. They really do. The rules were made and changed, right, to take the referee kind of out of it. VAR has been introduced to take the referee out of it, to eliminate human error. And it's still the issue that it's all about the referee, and the referee is making such, you know, significant decisions to affect the game. And both managers came out after the game and said that. They both said it was a shame. It ruined the game. Even Klopp said that. So there has to be another fix to stop the referees becoming the centre of attention. You know, we obviously joke about Mike Dean being similar to that, even though he's like a good character, Mike Dean, personally. But, you know, he has that obviously reputation of making it about him. Anthony Taylor's got the same reputation now. And we've seen in the European competitions and even in the Euros this year, in the summer, Ellie, that it was fine. When the referees are just kind of, you know, making it about the game, it was fine. I think it's just a Premier League issue. I don't know if it's an English issue. I don't know. But it's an issue. It's definitely an issue. And I didn't even watch the second half, really. I had to leave.
I was so dejected. I was like on Twitter part of the time, and I was like, I don't even want to watch, because what are we realistically going to be able to do except defend for our lives for 45 minutes?
Right, yeah. I had to leave anyway for a game, but I wasn't that upset, because it's just at that point, like, you know, penalty, fair enough. 1-1, fair enough. Yeah, you know, I would have been nice to go 1-0 half time. That's key, but 1-1 is fair. You know, Liverpool were getting on top in the end. But yeah, the 11v10 man, shocking.
No, I think it was shocking as well. I'm still like recovering from that. It's just, I feel like, I don't know. It was just a shock decision, not the right decision, but we'll move on to kind of what everybody's here for. Dan, you've made quite the name for yourself in the transfer business. I know that some people, for whatever reason, gave you a hard time. Some people still do. People are weird, but you've proved time and time again that you're super reliable. You know what you're talking about. And like, I don't know, you provide up-to-date news for free, might I add. So I think everybody should be super grateful for that. And that's what we're really here to talk about. But I just want to thank you for everything that you do. So I think the main thing, and guys, feel free to pop in questions. I'll try to ask as many as possible as well. We've seen that Kurzuma has now been sold to West Ham. That was kind of gut-wrenching for me a little bit. Like, I feel like he's just such a good personality in the dressing room. But how close are we now to getting that KOUNDE deal done?
Close, yeah. The only thing that's really got to go in now is the bid, which is, I was told it's going to happen in the next day, 2 days. I mean, when I obviously said it originally. So any day now, any hour now, unless that bid has already got in, we just don't know about it yet. But it's going in. Chelsea are just trying to weigh up a bid that obviously will not be rejected. Like, it's accepted straight away. Obviously, personal terms are done, as everybody knows now. Sevilla are on the hunt for their recruitment and obviously their replacement. Obviously, looking at the guy from Lille, I believe. So that's all in place. Obviously, KOUNDE is forcing the move as much as he possibly can. So all systems go until that bid goes in, and Chelsea are just going to make sure that that bid is going to be one that will be accepted, which is around the 60 million mark. So that's what we're waiting for. I find it hard to believe that Chelsea would let Zuma go unless they knew they were going to get KOUNDE in. That was always obviously the key, right? As I tweeted a long time ago, that was fun. But yeah, I would say it's likely rather than unlikely. But as we saw with the Zuma do itself, it changes in 20 minutes. It changes to off, to on, to off again in 20 minutes. And that can actually happen in transfers because, you know, one no and everything can change. So it can change. And I know the people that like that, people hate that when journalists and people put that on Twitter, it could change. Oh, you're just covering both sides. You're sitting on the fence. But I don't think people realise how tedious and how difficult transfers are. for an
especially
hour.
like big money ones. Yeah,
In an hour. So yeah, Kounde looks likely. Just waiting for the bid to go in. That is the update. The bid. As soon as the bid goes in, everything will go.
Yeah, it will be accepted. So do you think that the club are prioritizing this position? Because I think a lot of us feel that we really need a DM. So do you know why they're kind of like going for him, whereas he's a center back? That's a position that we do have some depth in, especially with Chalobah kind of rising from the ranks of the academy as well.
Yeah, I think what Chelsea are doing they're looking at it with regards similar to Werner and Havertz, in that this is an opportunity in the market to get a player who is young, who is obviously got a good resume CV so far, and it's a gap in the market to get someone very cheap. I mean, 45, 50 million pounds for this player is relatively cheap in today's market, and I think Chelsea see an opportunity to get him now, while other clubs are not interested and not pushing in for a bidding war. I think Chelsea see that gap when like they did with Havertz, like they did with Timo Werner, right? They moved very quickly when they knew they could get him. So I think it's more like that rather than position versus position. But obviously, I do think the position plays some part, because obviously you've got Thiago Silva, who you don't know if he's going to stay to the end of the year. As for the Quater, is looking like he's going to agree a new deal, so he'll be fine. I think he'll stay. You just don't know what could happen.
Then he's going to agree a new deal. Come on.
Of course he is, but you don't know if in a year's time he gets a serious injury.
No, of course, I'm joking.
Right, he wants to go back home. You don't know. And again, Rudiger, talks are going well. Chelsea are pushing, but Rudiger is, he's an interesting character. He could easily leave. So I think Chelsea want that cover as well. So, Tuchel wants both. He wants a centre back and a DM. Will Chelsea get him that? That's what we're trying to find out. So I don't necessarily think it's, centre back versus centre mid. I think it's more the situation and the timing of things, that we can get Kounde now because there's a gap in the market. And DM, if we can get one, great. If not, we can wait 6 months to a year to go for the number one target.
So talking about DM, I think we all agree, like, that's probably, if I had to pinpoint one position in Chelsea's team that I think, oh, this could be a position that we don't have as much squad depth in, because we're seeing it now. Conte is injured, Gilmore's out on loan, and then you really just have Kovacic and Jorginho to cover those two spots. And if they get injured or there's a lot of games, they're going to get fatigued. We really need somebody in. So who are Chelsea looking at? I think we've seen Saul is a name I cannot pronounce. Hold on. I saw somebody put it in the comments as well. But
Tchouaméni.
Okay, yeah. There's been links there, but what's like the update and the DM position?
The update is that the Sale deal is not over yet. I know a lot of people said it was off, right? It's not off yet. They're still talking. There's still negotiations going on, I think Fabrizio might have confirmed that today. A few of us tweeted that a couple of days ago. So that's not off yet. They're still negotiating with that. The option is, the thing that's holding that deal up is the option to buy versus the obligation to buy, right? Atletico want the obligation, Chelsea want the option. Chelsea don't want an obligation to buy it. Chelsea looking at this as a fill a gap now, a low risk move, have him for a year, see what happens, whereas
like a COVID thing.
Whereas Atletico, correct. Whereas Atletico are looking at it as we can get some money in here for a player that doesn't want to be here. So that's really what the hold up is on that one. Tchouaméni, if I'm pronouncing it right, I don't even know.
Somebody said just say Tchouaméni.
There you go. Thank you for that.
Tchouaméni.
He's unlikely. I've always said that from day one. It's just unlikely. With the timing of the market, from what Monaco would need to buy, would need financially for them to get a replacement. Chelsea, I don't think are looking at him as the long-term answer. They like him. They scouted him. They spoke to his agents. We know all that stuff. They've obviously sounded it out, as they say in today's world. However, I don't know if they see him as the heir to the throne as much as they see it, Declan Rice, maybe as much.
Interesting. I know that everybody asked you about Rice, so I really didn't want to go too much into it, but I've seen just on Twitter, you can maybe confirm this, that he's not pushing to sign. Well, he recently signed a new-ish contract with West Ham. I think it has another like 3 years, but he's not extending it anymore. So do you see that likely a possibility, given West Ham's valuation of him? Is something that you think that Chelsea can, or Marina can kind of get down like she is known to do? Do you see that as being like at all possible? Chelsea view him as the guy to go for?
Yeah, I mean, Tuchel loves him. You know, Chelsea love him. He's the number one target. He always has been. Yeah, Rice is not happy with of being priced out of a move. He's always going to be loyal to West Ham. He's never going to put in a transfer request. I don't think he's going to force a move. I don't think that's in his character. You know, he's very thankful for West Ham, what they've done for him. You know, he's obviously a massive player in there. They're doing well. They're in Europe. They're flying in the league.
Yeah.
He's not that desperate, but he has made his feelings very known that, you know, he's not happy with being priced out of a move necessarily, and that eventually he will want to go on to the next level. And West Ham know that. Chelsea is smart to do business with West Ham now with KOUNDE. That was a smart move by them. It didn't go as smooth as maybe we wanted, but business is business, so that was good. You know, you've opened the communication lines for that one. And I do see Chelsea pursuing Rice hard in the next 6 months to a year. I really do. I've never really said that before. I've never said that Rice thing was going to happen in the last 3 or 4 windows if you go back and look at my stuff, because it was just too difficult. With the amount of money that West Ham were asking for, it was just too difficult. But the longer this goes on, the more wiggle room Chelsea had to negotiate, the less power West Ham have, the more power Declan Rice has, the more power Chelsea have. So it comes into our favour the more that goes. And I personally see us going for that. However, you run the risk of someone like a Man United, City, someone like that also jumping on that train, whereas before it was mainly just a one-horse race. So, yeah, it's an interesting one, no doubt.
But I think, like, given the choice, Declan would choose Chelsea. He's a Chelsea boy, but it probably is up. Like, I don't know. I'm just making things up now, guys. I don't know how true this is, but I think if you offer him a higher salary or a lower salary and the chance to play at Chelsea, I think he would probably go for Chelsea. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's his number one choice, of course, for the obvious reasons, right? But it has to come down to Chelsea, right? Chelsea can't make him sit there if there's a massive offer coming in from United. Like, he, as a professional footballer and as someone who wants to, you know, have a good career, you know, make money for him and his family. Like, if United offer a massive deal before Chelsea even put a bid in, then he'll have to take that eventually, right? So it's really down to Chelsea.
Interesting. And you said 6 months to a year. So does that mean that you think that there's like any chance in the January transfer window?
No, I don't think there'll be any chance. No, but I do think Chelsea will maybe start, you know, talks in that January window of like, hey, can we get a deal done in the summer? I think that's when they'll probably start looking at it. You know, they're not going to look at it now. They're not even bothering. You know, looking at it in the summer might be a bit too late. Again, a lot can change in 6 months. So I think that's when they'll start opening communication lines. If they still want the DM, you know, if they still want to go once, etc., etc.
Yeah, I think that, you know, Conte is getting older. I don't really see Jorginho or Kovacic staying like medium to long term, maybe short to medium term, but I don't see that. That's a position where all of the players are getting a little bit older, maybe becoming a little bit more injury prone. You have to take care of them. So I think that that's definitely a position that we need to take care of. So Dom said, what about Ampadu plus Chalobah could also cover just like he did against Liverpool, but certainly a new DM incoming would be great though. So it's interesting. Like, we could have these players play there. Also, Reece James, potentially, if we sign Kounde, you could have Kounde playing right center back. Even Aspilicueta could play as a wing back, and Reece James could play at DM. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. But do you think that we have enough coverage with the current players that we have in this position?
I think we have enough coverage, but it depends on if you think that coverage is good enough, right? I mean, for Tuchel to put Chalobah on in that environment is a lot of trust from him, and he's shown he very much trusts Chalobah. So that's great, and that's really good to see for Trevor. But in terms of, you know, does he really want to put Reece James in hold? Like, you know, it's all well and good saying, well, he could do a job here, but Chelsea, you can't just do a job at Chelsea. Like, you've got to be good. You know, you're playing every game as a World Cup final, especially when you're the champions of Europe and everyone wants to beat you. You're trying to win a Premier League. You have to be on it every game. You're trying to retain the Champions League, which we know is so difficult. So it's not about just getting along. Could you trust Ampadu in the FA Cup against Barnsley? Yeah, probably. But could you, you know, are you going to throw Ampadu in against, you know, Man City away in the Premier League? You're not. So We do have options. Yes, Tuchel's aware that we have options, and Tuchel will be able to get by with the options we currently have because he's a very good coach. However, he wants that DM. He wants an established DM, and I think he deserves the opportunity to be backed. So, if we don't get the DM, will it be the end of the world? No. However, I do think we should get one, and it'll be ideal. But again, it's difficult. There's 3 days left, not even, so difficult. But yeah, Ampadu, Tuchel wanted to look at him. He got to look at him. I don't know how much he'll be involved. I know there's obviously a few potential suitors for him in the next couple of days, so we'll see. Obviously, you've got Ruben Loftus-Cheek as well. Someone's keep an eye on, who's now back in the first team squad. He was on the bench, obviously, yesterday, so that's a good sign. Tuchel likes what he sees, but he just needs to give more, I think. And obviously, Chalobah is well established now in the first team, so that's good too.
Yeah, I was just going to say Ruben Loftus-Cheek that I'm excited to see him back in the team. And I don't know if he's going to be able to get back to his former self, but hopefully this season he can just have those enough opportunities, enough game time to kind of start building the fitness up again and get back to it. Do you think given our we're not that scarce, so I don't want to say scarcity in the DM position, but do you think that it could have been a mistake letting Gilmore go, or that he needed the loan for his development?
Good question. No, he needed it. I think he needed it. I think he needed to go out and play. I think it's going to be good for him to see the other side of the game. At Chelsea, you expected to win a lot and do things and do this, whereas at Norwich, you're surviving. You're playing real men's football. People are playing for their lives, playing for their wages, playing for their families. It's a lot different.
Yeah.
So I think that would be good for him as a human and also as a player. I think that would be a good experience for him. He's going to get natural playing time, obviously. He's going to have a lot of expectations on him and solely him, whereas at Chelsea, he kind of goes under the radar. So I think it's great for his development. Chelsea are very big on that, developing players as well as humans. So I think that would be good for him. I think eventually, obviously, next year he'll come back, depending on what happens with this DM, right? I kind of tweeted about it the other day. Someone asked me who I'd want out of Sal, Tuchel, and Rice. And I kind of explained that obviously Gilmore is a part of this as well, depending on when he comes back and what's happening there. So I think Gilmore's not been completely frozen out, nor is he, Chelsea are still looking at him for the future. But yeah, he definitely needed to go.
Yeah, makes sense. And kind of on that same wavelength, we have a question. Will Cho go on loan to Borussia Dortmund? And it's kind of a similar situation that the position is so stacked, especially in the formation that we play. You sign Lukaku, and all of a sudden you have Lukaku, Mount, Ziyech, Pulisic, Werner, Havertz, Callum, all fighting for 2 to 3 spots. Do you think that he should go out on loan?
Do I think he should go on loan? Yes. Personally, I think that would be good for him. He'll play at a very good club, a club known for developing players, playing the young players. There's a gap, obviously, because of the departure of Jadon Sancho. Germany, good opportunity for him to go over there, learn a new culture, again, develop as a human, which is very important for these kids. So, yes, do I think he should go? I do. Will he go? Good question. Originally, the last thing I was told, and obviously, as many people know, myself, more so Simon than anyone, has a very good source with Callum. And the last we heard was that he wanted to stay and he wanted to fight. And Tuchel obviously wants him to kind of hang around and fight. However, this was before interest or significant interest came in. So that might change now that Dortmund have kind of made their feelings known. However, Dortmund have not put in an offer yet. So nothing can happen until an offer comes in. And obviously we've seen now that, I don't remember the source, but someone said that Tuchel will decide if Callum goes or not, which is true. Tuchel will have the final word. Callum, last we heard from Callum's side of things was that he wanted to stay and fight. However, I don't think he'd be overly opposed to moving if he knew he wasn't going to get game time. So I think the update is, the last we heard, he wanted to stay and fight. However, nothing will happen until Dortmund actually put in an offer. So still early. I think that will move quickly either way, 24 to 48 hours.
I think it would be a really good move for him, especially playing, with Erling Haaland to Borussia Dortmund. They're a great team. Their thing is that they develop young talent, and they do it so well. And he would have more consistent game time than I think he would get at Chelsea. We barely seen him feature. There's just so much competition for spots as well. And I feel like when you're that age, you just really need like consistent game time to improve. And I don't think maybe he's going to have a couple of minutes here or start here, but then he's not going to, I don't think he's going to be starting consistently with Chelsea, given the amount of talent we have. Lukaku's probably a nailed on starter. Mason Mount's a nailed on starter. And then you have one position really for all of the other players. So if I were Callum, I would consider going, but that's just me. We have a couple of questions. We're going to try to keep this to about 30 minutes, guys. Faisik says, then how does the Tino Andrew loan make sense? Every report said Tuchel's a fan of him. I think this kind of goes, again, like that you need to game time to develop. But what do you think?
I think that it's surprising that he would go on a permanent deal because of the last sentence, that Tuchel is a fan of him, and Tuchel has obviously had him in and around the squad in the last few months. However, you don't know how much that Andrew is maybe pushing this, that he wants to play. He doesn't want to just hang around the first team. He's still very young, very, very young. But what he's seeing is a lot of people his age go out, right? Go out to foreign countries and play and do well and develop as humans and as players. So that might have turned his eyes. So we don't know really. You know, we've heard rumours, but there's nothing significant of how, you know, how much he's potentially pushing this. So, and again, with the it's Lokomotiv Moscow, right? We obviously have links to them. You know, our club, our owner, Roman Abramovich, has links to them. So I'm sure there's an agreement in there, or a gentleman's agreement that, you know, that would be the place he goes, because Chelsea will have close eyes on that. It will develop. Obviously, Ralph Rangnick is someone who's spoken to Chelsea in the past. He's obviously over there as well. Then if there is a sale, I'd assume there'll be a buyback clause or sell on some kind of clause to protect Chelsea and give Chelsea an opportunity. So, you know, I think it makes sense for Tino because he gets to play. Experience a new environment. It's a club linked to Chelsea in a way. However, from Chelsea's side of things, a sale is somewhat surprising. Maybe a loan would be better for him. But again, you just don't know how much the player's pushing this. And, you know, if he does go, I'm sure Chelsea would have an opportunity to bring him back if they needed to.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like that's so key what you said, because we've seen a lot of player sales of academy players, especially this year. And, you know, a massive part of it is, well, they want to play first team football week in, week out. And if sometimes like the path to break into the first team at Chelsea is just so difficult. You have so many players that are just nailed on. So kind of going off of that, not really. Ragnar Havertz asks, do you think Lukaku is the end of Werner? We haven't seen Timo start the 2 games that Lukaku has started.
No, I think Werner will come back into the picture eventually. I was somewhat surprised he didn't come on against Liverpool yesterday. However, I understand why, because I think Chelsea were looking for Lukaku on the break to hold up the ball. He did an okay job of that. I think someone asked a similar question, right? Of, you know, a lot of people have said that Lukaku was poor against Liverpool. I didn't think he was horrific. I didn't think he was amazing either. I think he was just in a tough spot, to be honest.
As soon as we're down to 10 men, it's like I don't expect anything. Like we were playing essentially like a 5-4-1.
Yeah, it was very difficult for him. No, exactly, you're right, Ellie. It's so difficult for him. So I think it was just like a 6 or 7 out of 10 game. Just a standard game of football from Lukaku. But I don't think it's the end of him. I think we'll see Werner in rotation naturally. I think you have to be playing Lukaku. He's just signed for the club. Like, he's going to start. Like, that's a given. Mason Mount is, like you said, is a given, and Kai Havertz is in great form right now. You're not dropping Kai Havertz at this point, so it's not really Werner's fault, to be honest. Werner's not really doing anything wrong. It's more just, you know, the way it's going and the rotation. So I think Werner will eventually come in. He'll start, you know, maybe a midweek game, a cup game. He'll come in eventually, and then it's up to him to take his chance. There will be games where we see both Lukaku and Werner for sure. There'll be games where we see Lukaku and Havertz, Werner and Havertz too. It's a long old season, 60 games. You know, we're 3 games in. It's not the end of Werner, no.
Exactly. I think like as well, like with the lack of a preseason, players were playing in the Euros. You come back, like you're seeing Marcus Alonso starting like the first 3 games, like Ben Chilwell is going to take over at some point. Like Marcus Alonso is not going to be the out and out starter for Chelsea. Maybe right now he's more fit. He actually started the season strong. Credit to Marcus Alonso. But like, what did you say?
You can't drop him now. He's been fantastic. You can't drop him.
Yeah.
Ben Chilwell has done nothing wrong. It's just Marcus Alonso is playing very well. That's football.
Yeah, exactly. So, guys, there's going to be so many games, especially with all of like the cup games, Champions League games coming up. I didn't realize that they start in just a couple of weeks already, which is absolutely insane. I'm so excited. But we're going to have to rotate players. Like they're going to find their form. We're going to play around with, I don't know necessarily formation, but with players starting 11s, you're not always going to have the same one. But for right now, I think it made sense. And given the tactics at Liverpool, I think if we were still with 11 men, we probably would have seen Timo Werner on the pitch. But you just had to sub on. You just had to sub on defensive players.
I agree. I think I agree with you when you say if we had 11, I think we would have seen maybe Werner come on. But the game plan went out the window as soon as we went down to 10. And Lukaku's also a leader. He's a big figure, so I think having that on the field is important too, as well. So I think that's a reason maybe why he kept Lukaku on the whole game, as well, building up his time on the field with his teammates. The cohesion there. There's a lot of reasons why Lukaku stayed on. He done what he had to do. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't poor. It was just, it is what it is. But overall, great result. You got to take 1-1 away at Anfield when you're 10 men. Great result. I think someone said here in the chat, defensively very good. Looks like we're good to win the league. Yeah, with performances like that, it does show that we're ready to compete and win the league. We've always been good against the big teams, though, under Tuchel. We've now got to start, which we have so far, dispatching the teams we need to dispatch accordingly.
Yeah, exactly. So, guys, I hope that you enjoyed that little Chelsea talk transfer news update. By end of day Tuesday, we're going to know everything. So whether or not we sign players, we'll know by then. So just a couple more days to go. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Dan, thank you so much. Guys, follow Dan on Twitter. I put his in the description box below. Dan, any final last words?
Just to kind of round up things, maybe for people who came late. Kounde, just waiting for the bid to go in. When it goes in, things will move quickly. I'd say it's more likely than unlikely at this point. Saul is not over yet. The deal is not off yet. It might be eventually, but it's not right now. Still negotiations and talks going on in terms of the option and the obligation to buy. That's what's kind of holding that up as well, and also sales role within the team. To Tchouaméni, however, I've got to work on that. Is unlikely at this point. So, like you said, Ellie will know in 2 days what everything's going on. It's going to be back and forth. It's going to be crazy. Patience, respect, as always, to people who are working in this industry. It's not easy, and enjoy it. And hopefully we'll have a better squad than we had previously when it comes to Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. Very well said, Dan. Thank you so much for joining, guys. Make sure to drop this video a like if you haven't. I hate asking, but it honestly really helps me out. Subscribe to my channel. We're like 300 away from 10K, which is absolutely insane. So if you're not subscribed, make sure to sub. We're going to have a lot of cool content coming up, lots of Chelsea games as well. Maybe I'll finally get to go to London to go to a game in person. Let's see. That would be sick. That would be sick. So guys, thanks so much for watching. And until next time, I'm out.